A year ago, when you started this, what were you hoping?
I wasn't really hoping for a lot, honestly. What I mean by that is I really just wanted to create a space that would represent not just the jewelry that I design, but the culture within that inspires me to design the jewelry. So I wanted to create a space that reflects the culture, the African culture, the many countries that I get my pieces from, and a space that would give someone an experience. So everyone that comes in will have an experience. Because for me, that's what's the unforgettable part when it comes to products or whatever it is that you're branding or giving or offering, is that experience. And that's what I wanted to create in this space.
Is that why you decided, when all of the rest of the world of retail is going online, that you wanted to step back in time to the brick and mortar world?
Yes. And it was a little, at first I was a little reluctant. However, I was online first, and I still am online, but I wanted to create an experience again. And also what I've learned over time is that when it comes to handmade jewelry that's inspired, culturally inspired, it communicates something different in person. And I knew that I needed to create a space that would allow people to come and to see it and to touch it and to feel it, and where I could share with them the origin of it, the history behind it, the purpose behind it. So that was important for me. And so I'm hoping, in terms of hoping, that I've created a space where that can happen.
And yet it was still scary.
Very.
To take
Terrifying.
That entrepreneurial leap.
Yes, every day, actually. That does not end. It's still scary every day. And every day I wake up and it's like, okay, I'm really doing this? Every day I'm here, I'm like, okay, this is really the space I've created? So every day, it's a fear, it's a faith, and walking in that fear, as I said before, walking through that fear, and just knowing that it's going to work out. It's going to be okay.
But you're proud of yourself.
I am very proud of myself. I am. And again, I walk in sometimes and I'm like, wow, you're really doing this. Not that I did it, because I'm not done, but I'm doing it. So yeah, I'm very proud of what I've accomplished so far.
With all of the horrible, life-changing things that happened during the pandemic, is there an opportunity to find those small silver linings, those things that moved us forward in a good way, as this has with you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, during 2020, for me, the silver lining, if you will, was just having that time and that space to be quiet, to be still, to hear my inner spiritual voice, to hear the voice of God and the direction and the path, because myself, no different than anyone else, was what now? What do I do now? How does this work now? What does my work life look like now?
And we were all so busy beforehand.
Yes.
And suddenly COVID made us stop.
Yes.
And it sounds like you made the most of that quiet time.
I did, and really just leaned into my creative spirit, leaned into everything that I wanted to do and everything that I was doing at that time, and just asked all of those questions of, how can I give more? How can I serve more? How can I, with the work that I do and being creative, how do I communicate that, and how else can I share that?
Because when we chatted earlier, I asked if that quiet time allowed you to learn new things about yourself, and you told me you knew this all along.
Yeah.
This was always your calling.
Yes. And when I look back and I think back when I was a child, when I was the happiest when I was designing, when I was creating, when I was, using my imagination and putting that imagination down and creating something that was more physical and structural. And so during that time, I found the strength, as I mentioned to you before, and saying, you know what, I can do this. I can do this. A showroom, I honestly was not in my plan, but it was in God's plan. And so my response to that was and is, okay, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I will be obedient in the steps that I take, because I know that you're ordering my steps and all will be well. So I don't even think about it. Even when I'm, a little reluctant some days, there's still a peace and a calm on the foundation of all of that, because I know all will be well.
When we were chatting earlier, you said this was always your calling, but you also know how, as women, we respond to duty first.
Yes.
We do the safe thing. We do what we're supposed to do.
Exactly. We stay in those safe places because of all that we are supposed to do, expected to do, want to do. So it's really easy for us to try and keeping everything balanced, to find those safe places, whether it be the career choices that we make, so that we can be there for everyone else, our children, our husbands, our parents, our siblings, our friends. And so it's important for us to take the time to figure out and find out for us what it is that we actually want to do, and moving forward through all of that and creating that space. Sometimes it comes a little earlier in life and sometimes it doesn't, but that's okay.
As you look around and learn more about, women-owned businesses and entrepreneurship, are you finding you have many sisters in spirit who have, during this pandemic, done the very same thing?
Yes, and it's amazing. And we pat each other on the back. We cheer for each other. I have a really good friend of mine. She opened up a boutique at the same time during the pandemic. And I was like, oh my gosh, you too? And it was just amazing, because to see us growing our businesses, making that faithful step and saying, you know what, even during a pandemic, I'm going to move my business from just online to an actual space, to an actual brick and mortar, and know that even at this time, it's going to do well. I'll be okay.
You're bold.
I thank you for that. Thank you for that. I hadn't thought about it, describing myself that way, but thank you for that. I appreciate it.
What, Dawn, have I not asked you and you wanted to talk about and I just didn't ask the question?
Let's see. What haven't you asked about? We've chatted about a lot. One of the things I just really want people to understand and know about me and my work, and when I say my work, is that jewelry is just one of the many ways that I express my creativity. We are all creative energies. We're all creative spirits. So it's within all of us just to be still and find out what that is. But this is just one of the ways that I express myself. I love designing jewelry. I hand design each piece. It is about, for me, in trying to figure out or understand what I needed to do and what that voice and language is, it was the language of the culture. So that's what's important for me, for people to understand that this is rooted in our culture. And even though it's created in that space and in that place for us, but it's for everyone to enjoy and to understand and to know and to hopefully cherish and take with them.
You talk about the other women stepping out onto this entrepreneurial road right now. What do the women who have not yet done that, what do they come in here and say when they hear your story, having been a social worker for 18 years and you during this pandemic, shifted your life, did something different? Do you see other women just being excited to see you do?
Yes. And that's a beautiful thing about having this space. So every woman, every man, but every woman that walks into this space and having that conversation and saying, oh my gosh, I want to. I've always wanted to. And my response to that is you can. And creating a space, because I also use the space for that too, is helping each other and building each other and lifting each other up. So those entrepreneurial friends and girlfriends of mine that I have that don't have a space, this is their space. And that's when I tell them, we'll host pop-ups, we'll do what we need to do, but this just isn't my space. It's about building community, and that's very important to me. So yeah, it's exciting to see the excitement on their faces and giving me love, but me giving them love just back, and that encouragement and that boost, motivation.
This was your calling, but had you not had that quiet time to stop taking care of everybody, just, that quiet time with yourself and with God, do you think you would have done this as soon?
No, I don't. I don't think I would have done it as soon. I don't know that I would have done it at all. I really don't. That time was very, very important. And that time of telling myself, you can, you will, you'll be all right, you'll be successful, just keep moving in that path, keep faithful, you can do it. But no, I don't think I would have. That's an excellent question.
Anything significant about coming here? to the Fair Park area? Because we've seen West Dallas turn into a boom town, uptown, East Dallas. That revitalization, although promised for decades, it has been slow to come to South Dallas. Was it significant for you to plant your dream here?
I appreciate that question. It was important for me to be in the community, to stay in the community. My grandparents, I grew up in South Dallas as a child. My grandparents lived on the other side of Fair Park. Their family home is still there. So this has a great deal of roots and importance to me to be here. And I only live 10 minutes from here. So being in this community was preferred. It's really what I wanted to be. And I'm so excited to be here. And if I should ever move, I'm not leaving the community either. I will still, exactly. I'll expand and I'll maybe MLK or Malcolm X, who knows? But I still want to be in the community. That's really important.
Every business owner has had challenges this past year, whether it's supply chain or staff. How are you navigating? I know you have the dream and the enthusiasm. How are you navigating just the everyday business challenges?
Wow. Yeah, supply chain and shipping has been a major challenge, not just for me, of course, but for everyone. But it's really just planning forward, planning out. What's really important to me is being in communication with my customers. I hesitate in calling them customers or clients because they become friends. But it's just in staying in constant communication with them and letting them know honestly what's happening, giving enough lead times if I'm doing a custom piece so that they can, we can both manage our expectation honestly. But that's really the biggest challenge that I've had is just that.
And as it seems that we are at least hitting a better place in this pandemic, if you've endured this long, are you that more hopeful that even better days will be ahead?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. With every guest that I have that come through the door and the conversation that we have, and as things we become comfortable in the newness of this normal, I'm excited for the future. And I know that I'll continue to grow and continue to be in this space or another space, but I'll continue to grow. So I'm very hopeful. I'm excited about it. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.